It wasn't supposed to exist. Someone captured an image powerful people couldn't control, so they tried to erase it. Not to edit it, not to hide it, to destroy it. But one copy survived, and years later it became proof that someone was lying. Because the most dangerous images aren't the ones that shock you, they're the ones that quietly expose the truth, and in every case. The copy that survived wasn't an accident. The photo many people were never meant to see, Tank Man. For a second, it looks almost ordinary. A wide street, a line of tanks, a quiet pause. Then you notice the figure in the road. One man steps forward holding shopping bags, and he places himself directly in front of the first tank. The tank tries to move. He moves with it, as if he's refusing to let the moment disappear. The photo was taken in Beijing in 1989, after the Chinese government moved to crush pro-democracy protests. And almost immediately, the image became dangerous. Not because it showed violence, because it showed hesitation, power, stopped by a single person. Inside China, the image was suppressed. Many people grew up never seeing it. Outside China, the photo spread anyway, because more than one photographer captured it. And once copies existed in multiple hands, erasing it became impossible. But the real reason it survived is simpler. Someone saved it, and the world kept passing it forward. And in the next story, the fight wasn't over a photograph in the street. It was over a set of printed pages that exposed a war. And officials tried to stop those images from reaching anyone at all. The documents they tried to stop. The Pentagon Papers. This wasn't a single photo, but it became one of the most photographed sets of pages in American history. In 1971, leaked government documents revealed that U.S. officials had privately questioned the Vietnam War while publicly defending it. The papers became known as the Pentagon Papers. When the New York Times began publishing them, the U.S. government went to court to stop it. They argued national security. They demanded injunctions. They tried to cut the story off before the public could see it, but something made the attempt fail. Copies already existed. Once those pages were shared across newsrooms and printers, the image of the truth multiplied, and the U.S. Supreme Court ultimately ruled against prior restraint, allowing publication to continue. What people saw afterward wasn't just a story, it was proof on paper. The physical pages, the stamps, the dense paragraphs, the unmistakable look of official records. They tried to stop the pages from being seen, but once the copies spread, the story couldn't be recontained. And the next story proves something important. Sometimes the image isn't destroyed by burning it. Sometimes it's destroyed by rewriting it. The photo they rewrote to erase a man, the Vanishing Commissar. At first, it looks like a routine government photo, a group of Soviet officials standing together, a river behind them, a moment meant to look permanent. Then you see the detail historians can't ignore. There are two versions of the same image. In one, a senior official stands beside Joseph Stalin. In the other, he's gone. The man was Nikolai Yezhov. He was once one of the most powerful officials in the Soviet Union. When he fell out of favor, he didn't just disappear from power, he disappeared from photographs. Retouchers removed him from official images as if he had never existed. And that's what made these photos dangerous. They weren't just propaganda. They were evidence of rewriting reality, one print at a time. Original prints were suppressed. Revised versions replaced them. Some copies were destroyed, others were locked away. But not every print vanished. A few surviving originals ended up outside Soviet control, preserved by collectors and later archives. And today, those side-by-side comparisons exist because one copy survived long enough to prove the manipulation. It's a reminder that censorship doesn't always look like a bonfire. Sometimes it looks like a clean edit and a missing person. And the next story shows another way images get buried, not by editing them, but by controlling who is allowed to own the original. The film that was controlled for years, the Zapruder Film. It's only a few seconds long, but it became one of the most contested pieces of footage in modern history. In 1963, Abraham Zapruder filmed the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, and almost immediately the film was treated like something dangerous. Not because it was graphic, because it was definitive. It captured what happened in a way that couldn't be argued away. The original film was controlled tightly. Only certain people had access. For years, most Americans never saw the full footage. It existed, but it was kept at a distance, handled through licensing, restricted viewings, and limited circulation. But copies still spread. Frame by frame reproductions appeared. Books included still images. Researchers studied it. And once enough copies existed outside official control, the film became a permanent part of the historical record. The attempt to contain it didn't fully work, because you can restrict an original, but you can't erase a copy once it moves. And the next story shows a different kind of destruction. Not a single film, not a set of pages, an entire movement of art, targeted because it showed the wrong vision of the world. The art they destroyed, on purpose, the Degenerate Art purge. In 1937, Nazi authorities held an exhibition with a strange goal, not to celebrate art, to shame it. They called it Degenerate Art. Modern paintings, experimental styles, and works by Jewish artists and others were removed from museums. Some pieces were sold off, many were destroyed. Authorities wanted to control what people saw because art shapes what a society believes is normal. But something survived. Photographs of the exhibit, catalogs, posters, archival records. Even when the physical works were removed, the image of what they tried to erase remained. Today, historians can reconstruct much of what was targeted because documentation outlived the purge. And that's what makes the final story so important, because the last surviving copy in that case wasn't an accident. It survived because someone protected it, knowing it might become the only proof left. The image the Soviets tried to erase. A famine the state denied. In the early 1930s, a famine devastated Ukraine. For years, officials in the Soviet Union denied the scale of what was happening. Journalists were pressured, reports were controlled, the public record was shaped carefully, and that's why certain photographs became dangerous. Not because they were sensational, because they contradicted the official story. Some images were seized, archives were restricted, access to surviving prints became difficult, but not every copy disappeared. A few survived in private collections, foreign archives, and later historical research. And when those images resurfaced, they changed what could be denied. Because once a photograph exists outside the control of the state, it becomes harder to erase. It moves, it gets copied, it gets archived, and decades later, it resurfaces with the one thing officials feared most: proof. The most dangerous images aren't the ones people argue about. They're the ones someone tried to erase because they carried proof. If you want more real stories like this, subscribe to Rapid Rank.